bottom of page number 7, not a lot on the page. I'm glad there's some room for you to take notes. This is the big kahuna that's coming. The Dodd-Frank Act, Section 1071. This is the Reg B, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, collection of data for women and minority-owned businesses and small businesses. I'm going to give you a short rundown here. We don't have a lot in our conference on this because we're only at a casting the vision point with the CFPB, and I'll explain that in a moment. They haven't even given an advance notice of proposed rulemaking, so we're way out on this. But when it comes, it's probably going to come as a large implementation project. And I do think that it's going to come at a slower speed, though. That's some of the things they've been talking about. So let me give you some notes here on this. They are looking at how they should define a financial institution. It's going to be some sort of loan volume and or asset threshold that they're looking at. They've thrown 5 different options down on the table, looking at combining volume with asset thresholds and things like that. So they're gonna create an exemption for some financial institutions. We'll have to see where that shakes out. I'm hearing from a lot of small banks, it's not small enough. And so make sure you're aware, you go read up on this so that you can let your management know where those lines in the sand are being drawn. They're going to look at, they have to define small business applicant because that's what you're going to be collecting data on and reporting. They have to define minority and women-owned businesses so that you can collect data on the appropriate ones and report that. It's going to be a lot like HMDA if you're a HMDA bank or maybe you know somebody is where they have to collect all this data, but they can't overcollect because that'd be wrong. That'd be a violation. And then they'll have to report it. All in the name of fair lending, trying to make observations about how you're doing business with business applicants that are small and women and minority owned.
Well, Dirk, go ahead. I'm just going to, this is from the Dodd-Frank Act, right? 2012, yes. This law went into effect. And that's why there's some people saying, hey, CFPB, you're 8 years out here. Come on. So
and they actually got sued. I want to say state of California.
You said this is a big kahuna.
It is.
It is a large reg to write. So that's why the length of time. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So after they do all that, they also have to address the data points. And if you remember how HMDA went down, some of you that are HMDA banks know very well how it went down. There was the Dodd-Frank Act that said these items had to be collected and reported. And then the CFPB, because they were granted all the power, said, oh, you're going to let us have some flexibility here beyond that? We can pick and choose some extra things. They're looking at picking what they call some discretionary data points. That's something we need to be paying very close attention to with this vision that they're casting, because one of the big concerns is privacy issues. Remember, this data is going to be extracted from your loan files about your customers, and a certain amount of it is going to be made public. There's a line in the sand with what the CFPB has from a flexibility standpoint in allowing to be public or not. The law, Dodd-Frank Act, says these things must go out and be made public. The only way that changes is with, again, an act of Congress. So their hands are a bit tied with some of that data. Pay attention to that. So there's privacy issues that have been boiling behind the scenes on this. So kind of to bring this to a head, what's ahead here? They've simply put together what they call an outline. That's what my notes are from. They're casting this vision. There's a bunch of meetings and debates and things that this has to go through before it even reaches a proposal. Okay? The proposal will come, then a final rule. What they're talking about here is once they reach that final rule stage, 2-year implementation plan. I do like that, but 2 years in compliance isn't as long as you think it is when something's brand new and it applies to a subset of loans that we don't have to do collection for like we do with other types of loans. So that's a big one that's coming down the pike. Make sure your management teams are aware.